Good morning from sunny Greece. I am Dr. Athos Orthonos. I am the president of the Homeopathic Academy, and this is the second lesson of a series of lessons conducted by Homeopathic Academy, the Homeopathy Data Bank, and the Marathon International Summer School, called the International E-Learning Project. Our theme today is classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy. At the first lesson, we had an introduction to homeopathic medicine for doctors that had the first contact with homeopathy. Now we are going to talk about the special new method of approaching homeopathy founded by me, and it's called the classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy. We have to do with homeopathy. It follows the classical school of homeopathy, that is the school that follows the homeopathic laws and not just giving remedies. You have to strictly follow the diagnostic and therapeutic homeopathic laws in order to be scientific and therapeutically effective. It's got another component. It is miasmatic. It uses the miasmatic theory both in theory and in practice. And it is constitutional. We are going to say many things about constitutional. What is constitution? We will see it as things go on. Let's start our theme with a question. It's a question that arises in the mind of many doctors that come to know homeopathy for the first time. Why are there so many schools in homeopathy? Isn't homeopathy one? Well, I will again quote from a very favorite ancient Greek philosopher of mine, Plutarchus. Plutarchus said that truth was a mirror in the sky. Truth. In the sky, in heaven, in the spiritual world. It fell on earth and broke into 1,000 pieces. After that, any human being that found a piece of the truth believed that he knew the whole truth and nothing but the truth. He became fanatical. He had a partial knowledge of truth. That is why in all things, in all fields of knowledge, people just get a glimpse, a faint idea of a certain field, and they think that they have found the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So we say religion, science, philosophy, religion, and so on. We divide things, we divide the whole in parts, and we have these parts, the one contrary to the other, and not complementary to the other, and all united in one. That is the reason why also in homeopathy we have many schools. We have many schools because some of the schools are more closer to the truth, some are less closer to the truth, and some have very little to do with the truth. What is the criteria that will make us come closer to the truth? The criteria is if we follow the holistic thinking, and to do so we have to follow universal laws. Universal laws. From these universal laws that are general and run the whole universe, come the scientific, the natural laws, the laws that natural laws, the laws that govern nature. When we say nature, we mean Earth and the universe as we know it, that is closer to us. And then come the medical laws, the laws that apply in medicine at the phenomena of health and disease and illness. And then we have the homeopathic laws. If you try to follow homeopathic laws strictly, either in diagnosis or in treatment, then you are closer to the truth. And then your school is closer to the truth. Your homeopathic school is closer to the truth. So, my opinion is that the method that I have developed was developed always trying in an effort to be closer to the homeopathic and universal laws. Of course, this is a statement, a claim. If it is true or not remains to be proved by each and every one of you if he tries to understand this theory and tries to applicate it in the clinical practice. You have to be a medical doctor, you have to be introduced in homeopathy, and then you have to follow this method in clinical practice so as to be able to compare it with other schools in homeopathy. The main criterion is if it works. If it works, it's good. There is a saying, white cat, black cat. If it catches mice, it's a good cat. So, white school of homeopathy, black school of homeopathy, yellow school of homeopathy, red school of homeopathy. The one that catches mice better than the others is the best. I don't say that this is the one and the best school and there is not going to be any other school in the future, or there hasn't been one in the past that was better than this. But from my knowledge, I believe this is the best, and that's why I apply it. if I believe that there is a better one, I would have followed it. Let's see what is classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy. If we want to understand any method or anything, we have to see it as it was founded and grown up. So I will tell you the history of homeopathy and my personal history in homeopathy, in order to understand how did we come to this point of the classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy. Let's begin with Hahnemann, the founder of homeopathy. I will not go into details because this lesson is addressed to homeopathic doctors, those that have already been taught homeopathy, yet also in persons that come for the first time in contact with homeopathy. But the details of the parts will be later more explained in future lessons, in the lessons to come. My aim is to give you a general picture of this method. And then, lesson after lesson, we are going to discuss the details. Hahnemann found and used and applied in research and everyday clinical practice the double-blind trial, the provings. He found a scientific way that could give him information, data about the pharmacological properties of several plants and minerals in the healthy human organism. At first, he was prescribing for the disease. Let me tell you something about it. You can, what did Hahnemann do? He said, I will make a proving. I will take, for example, the plant valeriana. I will toxify a healthy person, full of joy, because he is healthy. I will toxify a healthy person, and I will get a proving picture. What is really a proving picture? It's a toxicology picture. It's a poisoning, a toxicology picture. It is an artificial illness because it is produced in the laboratory in experimental conditions. It is an artificial illness, a toxicology picture, a poisoning. That's what the proving picture is. Then we have another thing. We have a healthy person who, under several stresses, we have a healthy person, we have stress, several stressful factors that affect a healthy person, and he develops a clinical picture. A clinical picture. What is a clinical picture? A clinical picture is a natural illness. A clinical picture is a natural illness, while the proving picture is an artificial illness. These stressful factors affect a healthy person. Nevertheless, although all of us are under more or less the same stressful factors, we don't all develop the same clinical picture as nature and as intensity. For example, we have 5 people in one family, and then one of them develops, all of them are exposed to cold and stress. They go out on an excursion and a picnic, and they are exposed, all of them, in cold, sun, wind, and so on. Although they are exposed to the same stressful factors, they don't all develop the same clinical picture. Why? Because they are not all under the same miasmatic and constitutional influence. So, right here we have the miasms and the constitutions. The miasms and the constitutions. The miasms and the constitutions, let me put it in a better way. Miasms, constitutions, are a part of man, even of a healthy man. We are born not fully healthy. We are born with the seeds of illness. The seeds of illness. We have chronic predispositions from the time we were born. These chronic predispositions are in the form of disorder of our vital force. our vital force, comes with these chronic predispositions and disorders. And from that thing on, from that time on, from the vital force, from our energy level, etheric level, both the material level, our body, and our psychological level, our soul, our psyche, are affected and have predispositions. So, constitutions and Mayans and chronic predispositions are a part of man. And although he is considered clinically healthy, which is a term of an allopathic term, he is not fully healthy. He is chronically ill. So, we'll come to that later. So, we have a different background in every human being, and because of that different background, any stressful factor, either psychological, either etherical, either physical, material, will come to a different result. So, what Hahnemann thought of is that I will take this crude element, Valeriana crude element, the plant Valeriana, okay, the plant Valeriana, I will do the process of potenization which is, as we have explained in the previous lesson, I will take the potenization and I will create the homeopathic medicine called Valeriana. Potenization is successive dilution plus succussion. We have many terms here. Let's get things clear. It's very important to follow me, because if you don't have a clear theoretical picture in your mind about the phenomena of health and illness, you will not be able to apply correct diagnostic tools and correct therapeutic tools. So, what do we have here? We have many different things. We have, first of all, the plant Valeriana. Okay? The plant Valeriana. It's a plant. Or the mineral phosphor. The mineral natrium muriaticum. Second, we have the proving picture of Valeriana. Again, we have the same term. Valeriana, Valeriana. The proving picture of Valeriana. Then we have the constitution Valeriana. The constitution Valeriana that affects the healthy person. And this constitution creates a clinical picture. The clinical picture, or constitutional picture, the clinical picture, or let me write it better, clinical or constitutional picture of Valeriana, again the same name. And then we have the homeopathic medicine called Valeriana. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things that are all called in homeopathy Valeriana. The plant Valeriana, the proving picture of Valeriana, the clinical or constitutional picture of Valeriana, and the homeopathic medicine Valeriana. At this stage we have to do with a plant. At this stage we have to do with a picture, a sum of symptoms and signs caused experimentally as an artificial illness. Here we have an etheric negative disordering energy. We have the vital force of a healthy person or of a person, and this vital force is affected externally by a negative etheric energy, a disordering energy. This influence, this constitutional influence on the vital force of a healthy person creates a natural illness, and this illness is manifested with clinical symptoms and signs. It is a clinical picture or a constitutional picture, because if we take all the persons, all the individuals that have got ill from the natural illness of after the influence of the Constitution Valeriana, then we have a complete picture of what the Constitution Valeriana can produce on a healthy person. Let me give you an example. Let's say diabetes. We have different clinical pictures of diabetes for each and every person that got ill with diabetes. If we take all the common symptoms and signs of the persons that have got ill with diabetes, then we have the clinical picture of diabetes as it is written in the textbooks of pathology. And then we have the homeopathic medicine Valeriana that is produced from the plant Valeriana after potentization, successive dilution and succussion, and this is a positive etheric energy that annihilates or neutralizes the negative energy. And that's why the patient gets well. We have combined many things in one picture. Let's see it again. In allopathy, in allopathic therapeutic system, we deal with disease. And disease relies on pathogenetic paths. For example, diabetes mellitus relies on the malfunction of pancreas, of the cells of pancreas that produce insulin. Okay, this is the pathogenetic path that causes this disease. In homeopathy, instead of dealing with diseases, we deal with constitutions. These are not material but are energy, etheric, things, and we have to do with energy pathogenetic paths. We have an energy pathogenetic path that influences the etheric level of man, vital force, and this influence produces clinical constitutional pictures. So, in allopathic medicine, we administer material means of treatment, material drugs, and these material drugs act on the material body, only on the material body of man, and they most of the times suppress symptoms or diseases or alter diseases. But in homeopathy, we act with homeopathic medicines that are of energy nature, and we affect the disordered vital force of man, disordered by negative energy things that are outside of man, called constitutions. We neutralize the effect of these constitutions to the vital force of man, and that's why, acting on the energy level of man, we bring therapeutic results. We act on a more primary and more deep level than the material level. So, if we have man with his different levels, we have 4 different levels. This is the level, the spiritual level. This is the psychological level. This is the etheric level, the level of vital force, and this is the material level. Okay. Allopathic medicine acts only on the material level. Homeopathy acts on the etheric level, and from that point we have therapeutic results and order in the psychological level and in the material level. Neither illness nor medical method nor therapies act on the spiritual level. Illness affects this part, these levels of the human being. It affects soul, it affects vital force, it affects the physical body. It cannot affect the spiritual level. The spiritual level is the drop of is a drop of God inside us. That's why many religions claim that we are made as human beings in the image of God or of universe. The upper part, the higher part of our existence, the spiritual level, it belongs to the world of uniqueness. while the lower levels belong to the world of to the binary world, or to the world of diversion. Here we have hidden code. We have hypofunction and hyperfunction. Here we have blockage of the etheric energy that runs into the meridians of the human body, and we may have abundance of energy or lack of energy. Here we have hate and love, mental emotions, hate and love. I hate you, I love you. And sometimes I love you, but if you don't do what I want, I then hate you. But here we have unconditional love, spiritual love, only one. Here is also consciousness, the word of uniqueness. So, why did I talk in details about all these things? Because one of the characteristics of classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy is constitution. We have to have clear in our minds what constitutions are. Constitutions, according to classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy, come from miasms. The combination of miasms in several forms are negative, disordering energy existences outside of man that affect a human being even from the time of his birth and during his life. These influences change, and according to our attitude every day in life, we draw the influence of certain constitutions and miasms, and this influence, this energy influence, this etheric influence to other vital force creates sensitivities, predispositions. If you have these predispositions and then some stressful factors, material, etheric or psychological, act on you at a certain time, then natural illness is produced. So, if you have to get over this natural illness, you take the energy homeopathic remedy produced by several plants or minerals after potentization, you administer these energy medicines, energy homeopathic remedies, to the vital force of the ill person, and you neutralize for some time, and at a certain point, these constitutional influences, and then you have treatment, you have cure. So we have to get over the material way of seeing things. You've got a disease, I give you the homeopathic remedy, you get well. Yes, but how? If we don't have this clear view in our mind, then we are going to be confused. Let me give you an example of this confusion. That discriminates classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy from other forms of homeopathy. other schools of homeopathy. I will make a very simple question, simple, and maybe somebody will say idiotic, stupid question. And I will ask these questions to homeopathic doctors that have practiced homeopathy for 5, 10, 20 or 30 years. The question is, what do we have in a materia medica? What are the entries that exist in our materia medica? To make it more clear, what is valeriana, phosphor, and so on included in these materia medicas? Somebody could easily say, if we have a materia medica, then the entries found in this materia medica, in this book, are drugs, homeopathic drugs, homeopathic remedies. Okay, we have homeopathic remedies. I'm not against it, but is it all that there is in these materia medicas? No, it's not. What was first included in these materia medicas? How did materia medicas were created, formed? By the provings. We had the provings, and we had proving pictures. Proving pictures included in these materia medicas. Proving pictures. That is, symptoms and signs. And modalities of symptoms. Okay? Of symptoms. Okay. Somebody could say, why do you say things twice? All proving pictures are homeopathic remedies. No. That is a very big, fatal confusion. A very big misunderstanding. Because I claim, and we claim in classical miasmatic constitution of homeopathy, that not all proving pictures are homeopathic remedies. Let me remind you again what I said before. We have the plant valeriana. Valeriana. We have the plant valeriana. We have then the proving picture